Hello, welcome to SwitchedOn Gaming. Paul speaking. Welcome to a look at a game that came out recently on the Nintendo Switch. This is WRC10, the official game. This comes from Nacon and will set you back £45 on the eShop. But I've seen the physical version available in the UK for around about £31. That's from base.com, I think. But yeah, check around for a physical version, a little bit cheaper than the eShop version. This is the third, I believe, rally game from Nacon and Kyloton games released on the Nintendo Switch for WRC8, 9 and now 10. So what I thought I'd do is just take you through some of the gameplay, performance and features of the game. See how it stacks up versus the old version. See how it runs on the Nintendo Switch. I'm not going to be comparing it to the PlayStation, Xbox and PC versions because I never think that's particularly fair. So I will take you as face value as a Switch owner only, and I'll let you know if this game's worth buying. So I thought what we'd do first is start off with some actual gameplay. So let's get into one of the rallies and see how it performs.
2, 1.
So here we are in the rally of Kenya. I thought it would be a nice contrast from all the snow and ice. Now, I usually will do a voiceover while playing these games, but these rally games need so much concentration that I thought it would be best just to narrate over some sort of pre-recorded gameplay. So I'll flick through some different views as we go through this rally, starting off in the chase cam. I think this is the close chase. There may be one lower down as well. But generally, I found as these games are quite twitchy to control, and it just seems that WRC10 is twitchier, I found, than the last two versions. I did actually go back and re-download WRC8 and WRC9 as part of sort of putting this review or overview together, and I found WRC10 harder to control, definitely. So what I recommend is going into the settings of the game, and we'll show you this shortly, but go into the settings and reduce the sensitivity of your steering left and right. It's recommended to me by a fellow racing sim fan on Twitter, and to use the bonnet cam view as well seems to be really beneficial. But I thought I'd start off here showing you the chase cam, showing you some of the graphics. The car models look really nice on the Nintendo Switch this year. I think that's probably one area where the new version of the game shines. The car models do seem to be better than the old versions, but my driving, as you may see, definitely doesn't improve as I still crashing into objects. I quite like this Kenyan rally as the sort of the track or the pathways are quite wide open. Some of the rallies, I'll show you another one shortly, but the pathways and the tracks are really enclosed, which makes it really hard with that sort of sensitive controlling. You find yourself sort of swerving left and right and bouncing off the pinballing off the side of the course, off the mountains or rocks. And it just seemed to be compared to the last couple of rally games that there's a lot more trackside objects that are nearer. Now, sort of quantify two things there. One, I don't mean there's a lot of good trackside objects. In fact, I think that the number of trackside objects generally have been reduced in WRC10, which is one sort of slight failure. But what I do mean is that the trackside objects that are there, so rocks and trees and stuff like that, are really close to the edge of the track, so it can be quite frustrating when you're learning a new course and you keep hitting rocks, or these banks here as well can really unsettle the car very quickly if you clip one of those banks. So have to be super careful, but this is the view that I recommend anyway, the bonnet view. Hopefully I have a little bit more success, not massively, but I do find this easier to play the game with and less frustrating. You do have to be a little bit mindful of the size of your car, because especially when you're sort of sliding through corners or sliding through objects, you can have the tendency to forget you've got 10 foot of car behind you and clip stuff. But generally, as I say, this view is the one I prefer, and you get a really, really good sensation of speed. There's a bit coming up, I think it's here, it opens up. You can just put your pedal to the metal and you get a really, really good sensation of speed. But generally across the game, the sensation of speed, particularly from this view in WRC10, is excellent. And I think that's helped by, although we've got a slight visual downgrade in this year's version, definitely especially the sort of trackside objects and backgrounds and stuff. There's some really ugly looking flat polygons and stuff. But what has been improved is the frame rate. I think it's a really solid frame rate. It feels really smooth, and yeah, which makes it much more enjoyable to play. 30 frames a second. It isn't 60 like I believe it is on the other consoles. But so I'm not comparing consoles. It's a very steady 30, pretty much all the time. So you're going to get a pretty stable rally experience. But there you go. There's some gameplay from Kenya. What I'm going to do now is I will come back to some more gameplay. I've got 3 different rallies recorded of different types, so we'll come back and show them. So please do stick around. But I thought what we'll do now is jump back into the menus and have a look around what modes are in this game, because there is some new things. This is sort of classed as an anniversary edition. So let's take a look what's available in the game for you to play. So here we are back at the main menu screen. This is what you're presented with. Really nice UI this year as well. I think the last couple have been quite nice actually, but particularly this one with the video behind it. Got some esports stuff there going on behind the sort of menu options. So really nice, and there's different sorts of backgrounds depending what you go into. So really big thumbs up for a lovely UI. So as I say, this is the first thing you're presented with, the challenges. So you've got challenges, a test area and training. Also the solo mode here. You can play the career mode. We'll have a look at that in a second. You can do a quick play rally, a season, and livery editor, which I believe is new for this year. As part of the 50th anniversary mode, you've got this separate mode here where you play through rallies from all the way back in 1973. So you've got the very first WRC rally here at the Acropolis in Greece, 74, 1980, 81, a couple from 81 there. Then in the Group B rallies, got an Acropolis rally again, 1983 that one, 84 Monte Carlo, 85, 86, and into the Group A's, 87, 92, come up to sort of the Colin McRae era now, 93 Safari rally. Look at that awesome picture at the top there. Rally Argentina in 94. Well, Rally Cars 2000, so you got Subaru there, probably be Richard Burns I would imagine. The Rally Deutschland 2002, Argentina 2004, and then the current Rally Cars, you've got loads of these, so 2004 all the way through to 2019 in Catalonia in Spain. So there's a really good mode. You play through those, you can unlock stuff. Back in the WRC mode, let's have a look at the quick play. Now there's 4 new rallies been added in 2021 for this game. They're in Estonia, Croatia, Belgium and Spain. The 6 historic rallies that are included that are new are the Acropolis, San Remo, Germany and Argentina. 120 special stages, so these special stages within each one, there's multiple different courses for each country. So as I say, 120 different rallies, absolutely tons of content. Also believe each of these has a leaderboard, I think. I need to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure there is leaderboards. There was in the last games anyway. 52 teams from the 2021 season as well. So if we can go back to, I don't know if we can see the teams actually. Oh, we'll be able to. If we go into quick play, we'll just pick one of these rallies. You can see all the teams here. So you've got 52 teams from the 2021 season across the WRC, WRC 2 and 3, the Junior WRC, and then you've got Legends and bonus cars as well. Porsche, absolutely beautiful, lovely. 20 legendary cars as well from Alpine, Audi, Lancia, Subaru, Ford, Mitsubishi, Toyota, and many more. So in terms of content, you know, the WRC games on the Switch are almost always step in step with the bigger console versions. There's no multiplayer version, no multiplayer mode in the Nintendo Switch version. I believe it's coming in a patch. Still waiting on confirmation of that, but I'm pretty sure there's a patch coming. So if we go into the solo modes then, as I say, there is a season mode and a livery editor, but you can start a career mode, which if you haven't seen the WRC career modes before, they're really, really intense. There's loads and loads of content as well. I'm going to show you those in 2 seconds. It's going to show you these last couple of bits. We've got this skill development, so you've got different challenges that you can take part in for medals. And there is just absolutely tons and tons of these. Again, just content up the wazoo, really. Test areas here, so you can test stuff out. You can set weather, different car types, and then you've got actually structured training that you can take place, and it sort of talks you through different elements of rally driving. In now, and we said in the gameplay that was going to look at the control settings. So as I say, if you go into the controls here and go into your steering, so steer left and steer right, you can change the sensitivity. I've taken mine down to -8. I've seen some people recommend saying take it all the way down to -10, but the default for the game is like, I think it's 0, may even be 10, but it's just like ridiculously sensitive. You're just swerving left and right down the track. But as you can see, there's lots of different things that you can change. You can also change your acceleration and brake. I know some people like to change that, so you can change the right stick to accelerate and brake, if I can figure that out. There you go. So I've actually set accelerate to right. There we go. So I've now changed my acceleration to up and down on the right analog stick. Some people prefer to do that, especially for these rally games. You want to get that analog sensitivity. Personally, I suck it up on the Nintendo Switch and use the digital triggers. Not ideal, especially for rally games. You really do need that fine-grained control. But there you go. So just before we show the career mode, I'm going to jump back into some more gameplay so this video doesn't get too boring. And then we'll come back and have a look at the career mode. So let's jump back into another rally. So I thought for a laugh we'd do a rally in Japan. Using the Subaru of Robbie Burns, so using one of, I keep saying Robbie Burns, was it Robbie Burns? Richard Burns. Robbie Burns was the famous Scottish poet. Richard Burns. So this is one of the classic cars, and set the weather to rain. As I say, we're in Japan here, so this was extremely difficult. Oddly enough, it's weird that the Subaru didn't really seem to have like loads of power, certainly not as quick as the modern rally cars. So I switched to my favourite sort of hood cam view here to see if it's any easier. But you'll see shortly, once we get into the sort of the little towns and villages in this rally, incredibly difficult and frustrating to control. I mean, you know, again, I'm not the world's, you know, best rally driver in terms of video games. So, you know, your mileage may vary of how frustrating this is for you, but I found this incredibly frustrating. Again, in terms of performance, you know, I set it to rain for a reason, just to see if it would affect the performance of the game at all. Didn't really seem to run quite smoothly again, no problems. See here, the sort of darkens up a little bit as we're going up the hill. And then I remember that I've got headlight buttons, so I'll switch that on. I think by default they're the left and right bumpers. So I think left does window wipers and right does headlights. So flip the headlights on, get a bit of a better view. But you can see how narrow these roads are. You've got the sort of the hill or mountains or rocks one side, barriers the other side. It's very difficult. You know, be really precise with your inputs. Really sharp hairpin there that I just don't make. But this is maybe where this sort of thing is where you know, your analog triggers really do come into play. You know, it really is useful when you're going through these very narrow sections that need very precise control, that you're using the analog triggers to sort of feather and, you know, crawl your way around these little roads. Because I just end up here just in absolute disaster. So this was, as I say, this was Japan. Very frustrating, difficult. I'll switch over to another rally now that was a little easier to do and a bit more sort of in terms of fun gameplay. I was hoping I'd take that corner nicely, but I didn't. Let's switch to a different rally and see how I get on now. So this is Rally Finland. I'm using a WRC2 group car here, so slightly less powerful than the top WRC cars, just to see how these perform. Got one more rally to show you after this. And as you can see, not massively improved. But this is, as I say, this is Finland. This rally is also really enjoyable. You know, it's quite wide open spaces. There are some rocks and trees that you do need to pay a little bit of attention to, but generally roads are much wider. Fences you need to be careful of. But yeah, this generally it is a nicer rally to do than, you know, obviously the Japanese one we just did is very difficult. I do find my flow in this one in a little while, but just thought I'd show you this. Now, one of the reasons I'm showing you Finland, and again, apologies because I said I wouldn't do this, but just as a quick comparison, the sort of PC and PlayStation versions of Finland have really densely packed forests. So, you know, if you're used to seeing those for the Finnish rally, then obviously the Switch version here is cut back quite massively. I mean, literally, the trees are cut back. But, you know, you still get the kind of feel that it's a kind of a forest type environment. But generally, it's much reduced in terms of trackside objects. But, you know, as I said, I've always prefer the performance over visuals in rally games. So if we get a solid frame rate, then I'm all for that, and which WRC10 does deliver. So as I sort of come to the sort of final bits of this video over the next few minutes, just let me know below if you've played any of the WRC games before on the Nintendo Switch, and how you think this one looks and compares, if you'll be picking it up. As I say, is it cheaper to buy these in the physical version? They generally do go on sale as well, so keep your eye out for that. As I say, personally, of the three, I would say overall, as a package, WRC9 was a possible favourite. I did put a lot of time into that, and sort of going back to it over this last sort of week or two to compare it to WRC10, I was kind of reminded of how enjoyable that is. WRC10 itself, as I say, car models are nicer. You've got loads and loads of content as well, and you've also got that slightly more stable frame rate at the expense of some graphic fidelity that's been dialed back. You know, there is a little bit of pop in here, and certainly the texture pop in. Certainly, if you look at the background, you know, some of the trees are just, you know, green blobs, and the mountains are just sort of grey blobs, and then the textures will pop in. So if that does bother you, then, you know, maybe that's something to consider. Something the other games had that this one doesn't really seem to is, you know, on the older games there used to be a lot of shadow drawing, so just in front of your car shadows were being drawn in. That seems to have gone away in WRC10, which is good because that's quite distracting, so that's definitely a plus. But as I say, your mileage may vary depending on how, you know, what sort of weighting and preference you put on graphics. But for me, you know, I'm so busy concentrating on what's dead ahead of me on the screen, I tend not to pay too much attention. But I know in these sort of videos and these reviews and overviews, you know, it's very easy to sit back and, you know, you can take your eye off the road and look around and think, oh, you know, those textures don't look particularly impressive. But as I say, when you're playing the game and you're in the midst of, you know, concentrating, I don't think it matters massively. I think it looks fine. Handheld, similarly, same sort of story. It looks really nice in handheld. Some slight performance dips, nothing massively to worry about. But there are some slight downgrades, as you'd expect in handheld. But there you go. And what I'm going to do now is go back to the main game screen quickly, just so I try and roll my WRC2 car. But we'll go back and have a quick look at the code and see what that involves, and then we'll finish up with the Rally of Sweden at the end of the video. So here we are. It takes a little while to load in to the career mode on the Nintendo Switch anyway, but this is your main sort of overview screen. As you can see, there's a lot going on. If you've played any of the WRC games before, then you're going to be aware of how these how this works and operates in this game. But we'll just go down the left hand side. You can start a current event, but you'll need to configure them first on the calendar. We'll have a look at it in a second. You got some options here that you can set up. Then your calendar, R&D, your crew management, emails, objectives, statistics, stand-ins, a test area, some information on your career, and you can go back to the main menu. So the first thing you generally want to do is come into the calendar, broken up into months and weeks. So we're currently in April, and you can add new events to the calendar. So you can rest, you can have an extreme conditions race as this particular week, or you can have a manufacturer tryout. There's all sorts of different manufacturer tryouts for the different manufacturers, and doing them will give you sort of increased affinity with that manufacturer, eventually leading to either discounts or the chance to drive for that team. So this is a new week here, so you can add a new event. And in this week we've got the Rally of Croatia. So you can see quite a busy month, April. And we've got a sort of locked event there, an anniversary race. So what we probably do before the rally is we would probably do a rest week rather than do that manufacturer tryout. Because stamina is really important in your crew. So look at the crew here. You can add new crew. You can recruit new crew. So we've got a mechanic here, a logistics coordinator, and you can see each of the people that you employ got their own stats and give you special bonuses. So the mechanic here, Nicholas Gregerson, gives you a reduced car degradation of 2%, but also is a negative trait of a slow repair speed, minus 2%. Henry Lemercier, again, lower event costs, 4% lower event costs, but decreases the crew morale by 4%. So you've got to kind of balance your team. And as I say, there is a stamina system as well. We've currently got Chow Lin here, a mechanic, 11 months left on their contract. Got a 1% repair speed, but a 1% reduction in degradation, or increase in degradation, I suppose. So that's your crew. You've got to keep them up to date. You've then got, so look at the R&D, you've got kind of this skill tree here. You can drill right down, so the team skill tree, performance, the crew, and your reliability. You get skill points to distribute into those areas. That's the overview there from the top. But if we drill into the team here, you can see I've already unlocked some things. We've got the top form increases maximum form. Backup increases the size of the reserve team. And famous increases reputation among other manufacturers. And you can see as you unlock these, it sort of then opens up the nodes. These aren't unlocked yet, but these are ones that we can unlock with skill points. Anything grayed out is unattainable at the moment. So that's quite cool to build up your skill tree. You can configure the car here for different sorts of conditions. So for regular asphalt, always say that wrong. We've got a default setup that you can do here, and there's all different things that you can set up and save them and reload them in. So coming to the mail system here, you've got all of your emails. We've got none actually here at the moment, but you can see across the top there all the different categories where you would get emails from. So from the media, your mechanics, agents, physical therapists, crew members, and manufacturers. So you can see how deep this game goes once you start digging into it. We've got our objectives here, so you normally have a short-term, a medium-term objective. So our short-term objective here is to earn $15,000 within the next 4 weeks, which we've failed. And a medium-term objective, which is normally a month or two, is do not let morale drop below -4 for 6 weeks. We're kind of on track for that. And our manufacturer reputation there with Ford, you can see we've done a Ford event, and our sort of manufacturer loyalty needle is going up a little bit. Got our stats here, so our reputation across the different manufacturers in the different classes. Season standings, we haven't kicked off a rally yet. Test area, we can do some testing. Had to pause that, ridiculously long loading times to get into here, but this is kind of an open world area where you can do some different sorts of tests. It's like being in the supermarket car park doing some burnouts. Quite cool though, nice big area you can sort of have a drive around in and do some testing. So it's quite a cool feature, the test area. And we've got kind of information here about all the different things in the career mode. So you work through the career mode from the junior levels, try and work your way into other teams, try and earn money, obviously win championships ultimately, but you're more about managing a team here, managing your career, and it really is one of the best examples in racing games of a career mode. So anyway, let's end up the video now. Let's do some more rallies. Probably going to hit up Sweden, so let's take a look at that.
4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Flat right.
So final rally, thought it'd be a good one to end on an icy and snowy rally, something a little bit different. Again, going with the bonnet cam here, trying to make the sort of give us the best chance of completing this rally, and we're still struggling hitting the sides. This is in a WRC car, I think. It's like the Toyota. Again, performance not too bad. Seen a little bit of performance hit in the snow, but generally it's fine. You obviously get all different setup choices when you're in the snow as well, so you can use ice tyres, and that kind of thing is very important, especially when you're going through the career mode. You get a choice of what tyres to take with you to the rally. You can do a shakedown, which is like a short part of the course before the rally starts, and if you compete in that, you get extra tyres that you can take with you. So you can see it's not too bad. I mean, it's obviously harder to control than a normal rally, but it isn't like some rally games I've played in the past where it's just completely uncontrollable. If you get the right tyres and the right setup, you're generally going to be okay. So I think we'll sort of wind this video down now. Thanks a lot for watching. Really appreciate it. Obviously, sort of give you some good points and some negative points. I think, you know, if you own WRC 8 or 9, you might not want to add this to your collection unless you're a massive rally fan and want all the updated stuff and the anniversary stuff, which is pretty cool. You know, there's an absolute wealth of content. There's no online multiplayer at the moment like there is on other systems, but as I say, I do believe that it's coming, and if I can find out confirmation, I will do an update on that and just leave a pinned comment to let you know when that's coming. Graphically, it's probably a bit of a downgrade from the last couple of versions. I think they've probably sacrificed a bit of visual fidelity to keep the performance as solid as possible, which, to be fair, is impressive. It does keep up a high frame rate. It does feel super fast, especially in these sort of cockpit views. Really, really impressively fast. So I just think to have this on the Switch system is, you know, still a big plus. You know, whether you sort of sneer it a little bit and think it's downgraded, I still think, especially if Switch is your only console, it's a big bonus that this gets released every year. And, you know, it is in, you know, as good a condition as it is. I think that's a real big plus for the system, so no complaints from me there. Sonically, great. The engines sound really, really good. I'm not a big fan of the new co-pilot sort of personality, where he will sort of either praise you or, you know, give a really stupid comment if you crash. Thankfully, if you have heard that and you hate it as well, you can turn it off in the audio settings. I just think it's absolutely ridiculous, and I will be turning that off. So overall, if you can pick it up physically a little bit cheaper than the eShop price, I recommend it, definitely. There's a lot to like here. It's a really hard sim. Let's not beat around the bush. It isn't a Mario Kart type game. You're not going to buy this and pick it up and be fast at it straight away. It's going to take time and patience, a bit of hard work, but immensely rewarding. When you can nail it, it is hugely rewarding. So if you like technical racing games, then you know, like MotoGP is a technical racing game. I would consider that in a similar sort of vein, where you're going to need to practice at it. You're going to need to learn the nuances of control. Then if you like games like that, you're going to be well at home here. So overall, for me, it's a thumbs up. Really like this. If you enjoyed the video, also give me a thumbs up if you don't mind. That'd be most appreciated. Subscribe if you're new. Leave me a comment below what you think of these rally games, if you're going to be picking this one up or if you're sticking with the older versions. I don't think you can go wrong with any of these WRC games from Nacon, really. But if you want the latest and the best, then you're probably going to want to pick up WRC10. Really appreciate you watching. Thanks for that. Hope you enjoyed the sort of in-depth overview, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.